Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the live show. My name is Elizabeth from Elizabeth Magical Garden, a magical garden reaching for the stars. Guys, good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on when you find this particular recording. It is Friday, TGIF. I'm really excited about today's topic as usual. But first, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to turn on all the notifications. Check out all the information. All the information. I just had my coffee, guys. All the information down below because I also go live on my other channel, and also there's a lot of alsos, and the podcast that is just recorded is all down below. So basically all the information that you can possibly need to follow me on all social platforms are there, guys. Welcome back to the podcast. I would say today I'm a little tired, and not in a, it's funny, like in spirit, I'm like, but the body is like, I went to, I had some errands to do, so I went and just spent the day by the water, basically. Oh, and be sure to have a beverage because this is going to be a nice, juicy topic, a long one, but not too long, but we'll see. Um, but definitely, it's not going to be short because I wanted to really just dive into our topic today. But yes, have a beverage, have your coffee if you're still having coffee, or your tea. I'm personally having peppermint tea. I love to see the floating leaves. I just love that. It just makes me feel like, I don't know, it's visually appeasing, and it just puts me in a really good heartfelt state, if that makes any sense. Leave a comment down below. Are you a tea bag only type of person when you drink teas, or are you a only like the herbs, like you don't do the tea bags, you go to the source and you just put it in hot water? I personally used to be only a tea bag person, and I started veering more towards having um, just peppermint or peppermint tea, any type of mint in hot water. I feel like it's really good for the digestive system. Actually, it is. So, like I have mentioned before, I do a lot of intermittent fasting. So, because of that, I make sure that I use that healing time to put something that would actually soothe my digestive system, because a lot of times, especially when you are premenopausal, you will find you having more digestive issues than not. So intermittent fasting, I definitely will do more, or just do like a segment only discussing that particular topic in terms of how it helped me. And it literally, um, I want to say 99 point, it goes, the 90s go up and down, but honestly, and I'm so grateful to say that, I feel like it wasn't an easy journey, the journey I decided to take um, when I entered premenopausal, um, because you are not menopause until you don't have a menstruation for a complete whole year. So, and if somewhere along that year you get it, start all over again. So that's where I'm at, and I find that working on your gut health definitely is important. I mean, overall, but especially you really notice it when you are going through the change. So let's get into today's topic. Today's topic is from one door to the next. Start living your new reality from one door. Okay, so let's break this down. It actually is two segments in one, but I'm gonna break it down from one door to the next. Okay, so A lot of times we find ourselves going through different transitions in our lives, and we don't even realize um, the change that has occurred within ourselves by the time we get through but by the time we get through the other side, you get through whatever the transition period was. Now, I'm gonna double back a little bit. I feel like a lot of people do realize the change, but not to the degree, right? And usually, depending on the degree of the change you find yourself in, you would change to the point where now you have to keep up a new reality, right? And a lot of times we don't realize how how strong that change took place. So you can find yourself going from one situation to the next situation to the next situation and not giving yourself the ability to clap and give thanks for the growth that you have received along the way. Like, it's crazy. And I say this because I definitely have seen over the course of years within myself how much has been shed and how much more um, was required and still is required, right? And that can be intimidating at times. It can feel it can feel intimidating because it's not. It really isn't when you put things into perspective and understanding what took place to change your perspective in certain things that allowed you to get to the place that you are currently in, right? And when you break down that process, you will be more, you wouldn't be as reluctant to fight what is necessary, right? So what is an example I can give to, and leave a comment down below because I'm using my mic. I'm not using the internal mic, so I'm trying to see excuse me, how this is going to sound. Pretty much it's been sounding good, but I'm still learning, guys. So I mean, I'm doing it, but I'm still learning. And as I tweak and learn and see what works for me, us, bear with me. So I have mentioned what I'm speaking of, or this topic being in line with a lot of my past articles, and be sure to check that out. Again, all the links will be down below. um, you'll see my blog, my website, and everything on there that I literally create is automatically on there, so feel free to skim through and you know support the other videos as well, because I put up a lot of videos, especially on my vlog channel. But with that being said, even with, and this is why I always like get so excited when I do mention those other videos, because I have gifted myself the ability to constantly see my evolution, and like there is even videos like, I did put some of my videos private, and not even because I didn't, how can I say this, not even because I didn't like my videos. I mean, everything I post is where I was at that moment. But I personally, and this is why I'm definitely here to help you guys, because I personally have fell into that trap of thinking that whatever reality you have, not only do you become it, but it's like you completely narrow down. It's not to say that you are no longer this or that or whatever, but you narrow down a particular perspective. And get me wrong, and use me as an example. Don't get me wrong, it's good to do that, and we are going to be discussing that. But at the same token, understand that the reason why you're able to reach this particular perspective is because you were able to overcome the latter one, right? You have grown in your reality. Hopefully, you see things in an elevated state, right? Because you can go through things in life where it feels like you are digressing from life itself. And just because something feels a certain type of way doesn't mean that it is really your reality. Understand that. Understand that just because you may, I don't know, just because you may be feeling just because you be feeling that life has dragged you out doesn't mean that you are dried out. Like, you have the ability to literally change your reality today. And being able to do that and have that effect not only on your life but on all the other lives around you, that is a very powerful concept that I just mentioned, if taken seriously. you know People can only have the reaction with you that you are actually having with yourself internally. you know this is why sometimes, not sometimes, whenever you find yourself in a position where you are being tested in what you are receiving from the other end, the other party, your reaction or your ability to walk away literally shows the relationship you have with yourself. For instance, if you are not being respected in the way that you are accustomed to, do you sit and try to convince a person why they should be respecting you? Or do you A, walk away? And I feel like, for me, it's A, right? I feel like A. It's A for all of us. And the reason why it's A for all of us is because why would I sit here? It's A for us because why would I sit here and tolerate anybody to continuously speak to me or treat me in a particular light that I am not accustomed to? Especially when I make it my mission to always reach whatever higher level or state of mind I'm in today. Period. there's no other way, right? And when you play with it, and because it's very easy to be upset, it's very easy to become the same way, but it's like, honestly, like, this whole life is a ball game anyway. This whole thing is a game, so you might as well play the game. And you might it sound like I'm saying might as well. Actually, I was saying might as well. You might as well play along with it. And I remember, a time in my life that I was very against that. And why is that? It's because I considered myself, and still do, a straight shooter. I don't have time to play games, yada, yada, yada. And pretty much that mindset is like walking into an arena in a soccer game and getting socked with the soccer ball. Pretty much. You're getting socked, okay? Because you are just tracing through life, walking through these corridors, not celebrating and realizing your ability to continue um, a progressive reality that will continuously lead you and put you in your highest self, living in a state of life in your highest being. You know, we are spiritual beings, we are beings having a physical experience. There are so many different concepts, different ways, different visions of how and what we have come into these beautiful vessels, you know, and this concept is so powerful that people actually hurt themselves over. Like there are so many unfortunate events because of people's inabilities to be respective of somebody else's perspective. And it's really sad. This is why I say focus on yourself. You know, anytime I'm giving any type of advice, you know, whenever somebody comes to me for any type of, how can I say, like, you know, basically words of wisdom, I always lead back to self. I will always do that no matter what I create. And by the way, guys, be sure to um, turn on the notifications so you'll be notified every time I go live or upload a video. Pretty much on this platform, I'll definitely be going live for the most part, as well as sending my episodes from the podcast. Because, like I said, this is a spinoff on the podcast that I've created years ago, and I'm so grateful to be able to do that. But be sure to have on your notifications as well as subscribe and pass on the video. But it's just really uncanny how once you allow the windmill of life to carry you off and take the focus off of yourself, how things can really go spiraling really quickly. And this is why meditating and taking a short leave of absence from everything, from everyone, so you can be able to sit with self. Because only through sitting with self will you be able to realize your true identity. And the identity is fleeting because the identity changes every single day. Whether you change or not change, who you are is part of a multiverse. So you can never fully understand, but the essence of selves remains the same. That feeling, that knowing. And any time that we allow ourselves to not feel that very beautiful thing within ourselves, we're led astray. And there are predators, like legit predators, that will feed off of you not knowing. That's why you got to know the doors you're walking through. Guys, are you like this? Like, you know, it's summertime, it's hot, right? And I still choose to have a hot beverages, and it's uncanny to me. I remember when I was a little girl, and I wasn't a little girl. I was like I believe I was like preteen, and I would see my mother with a steaming hot cup of coffee, and I would look at her like, how could you have? It's hot, and this is before like AC. We had an AC, but I don't think it was in the kitchen at that time. And I remember asking her, like, how could you drink such a hot beverage and it's hot. And she just looked at me. She just looked at me. I don't remember her saying anything, but I do remember her looking at me. And I get it. I get it, Mom. Years later, I get it. But anyway, so I have a couple of things that I jot down. Of course, we gotta fix these lashes because I'm gonna. I have contact lenses, guys, but I choose to put on my glasses because I conquered my fear in terms of putting things in my eyes. That was like a big fear of mine. Like even putting eye drops was not a thing for me. So I conquered that feeling. But you know what? Even with conquering, it's just too much. It's just too much to shovel. Like what am I doing? Like it's too much. Leave them alone. I just put glasses on. But like for a while, I didn't even want to put my lashes on because of this. Like, so what I do usually, I have to cut them a little bit because I like the big ones. You know what I mean? If you're gonna go big, go home. But they say go big or go home. Anyway, so walking from coming from one door to the next, just to go back a little bit, just mentioning that because like life is a transition and it's doors that we continuously are evolving to walk towards, you know. And this is why you hear phrases like highway to heaven. I remember there was a show, I think his name was Michael Landon. Oh my god, he was so sweet. I loved that show. Highway to heaven. Highway to heaven. um, Elevator going up, like all these transitioning phrases. And if you think about it, like what does those phrases, what I should say, what comes up within yourself when you hear those phrases, right? It's transitioning, it's ascending. So these doors are you ascending into oneself into the next, and it's not to be afraid. Glorify it, have fun with it, laugh at it, you know. I remember like years ago, I would like change up my look, change up so many things, and I hit. I came. No, I didn't. Well, yeah, I came to a real deep space within self, and that's when I like got into. I just want everything to be natural. I mean, my hair is still natural under this, um, but like I have my beautiful locks. I went through that transition. That was another door that I walked in, and every door looks different. Every door looks different, and I let myself walk into that door willingly. I have always been like that. I remember before when I first cut my hair. My actually it's crazy because this is actually like how my like relaxed or blow dried, how my hair when I was younger, like maybe like 19, 18, up until 18, 19. This is how well my hair was really long, my natural hair. And I remember like after I gave birth to my son, this is when what's her name? Toni Braxton. Toni Braxton came out with her famous hits, and she had that short haircut. And I remember all the girls wanted to get that. And now I was starting from like a ways down all the way up, like instant big chop. And I remember being in the only thing was I went to somebody that my hair was just too much for them at the time. Thank God I found another hairstylist. She was like, I went to her one time and it just kept going up. I'm going to her. She would just like literally skill it. She was such a great artist, a hairstylist. And anyway, I remember sitting at the first one at this hair salon, and I remember everybody tilting, watching me actually chopping off all that hair. And from an early age, I just always allow myself the freedom to become. You know, it's like it's exciting, right? Because every time you become, you walk through another door, there's there's another golden nugget to be had. I learned so much through so many different transitions about myself. Because forget about everybody else. Forget about what anybody else say. This is why a lot of people are sad and miserable, because they are so wind up into what people are going to say about them. I feel like this: if people are saying that much, X the door, goodbye. Like, that's a headache. You don't owe anybody any explanation on what you are doing or what you're not doing. Especially if you're not hurting anybody, you're not hurting yourself. Like, goodbye. You know, people like that generally can be curious, but at the same token, pushy, and never feel intimidated to the point where you can't just walk away. Like, goodbye. You don't. You know, a lot of times they're not understanding or questioning because maybe they can't. Maybe they don't have the courage to be whatever true self would look like within their situation. You know what I mean? And I get it. Not there's a lot of people that would love to do that. I've been like that. Regardless of what situation I find myself in, I'm gonna always show up as whatever character is here today, and be my best version. And I don't think that you should stifle yourself in not doing that, because there is a significance. There is a some type of seasoning within that mix that your spirit is calling for at that time. So keep that in mind the next time you want to do something, but because of the majority, you're not going to do it. You know, all that's going to lead to you is being unhappy and regretful. Because guess what? When everybody is like 1,000 years old, none of this is going to matter. Okay, so being comfortable with walking through different doorways, understanding. And one of the things that I would say before I go into the next one of the things that I would say about walking through different doorways, a lot of times, like, when you sit down and you make specific known time for yourself, what you allow yourself to no allowing yourself, I should say, to revisit um, happy thoughts, you know, to get you in um, a place of excitement. Close your eyes and envision happy thoughts, happy moments that you have encountered over the course of time, right? Allowing yourself to just feel what it truly means to be happy for you, right? And when you do that, you hold on, guys. I'm trying to get this over here. Um, when you do that, guys, you find yourself in a happier state of life. Here we go. Hold on, guys. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Hmm. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Hold on, guys. Okay. When you do that, you allow yourself to just not only be fruitful for yourself, but also be fruitful to others. Because when other people see you transitioning in your thought process more. You know, the outer appearance is one thing, and I'm going to get into um, the different ways that this can show up. But like what I wanted to say in terms of like when you close your eyes and you stay with yourself and you meditate and envision yourself having past happy thoughts, it allows you to further get into that mental state. You want to get into the mental state. You want to get into um, the state of mind that will allow you to receive the benefits from your meditation, because that's the only way to further, I personally believe, further your subconscious mind in realizing what awaits you, right? So when you open your eyes, it will no longer be like, oh, okay, it was in my thoughts. Um, I am just coming from a place of from my imagination. It was a figment of my imagination. Yes, it was, but when you are living, when you are making it a point to live along with, when you open your eyes, what's going to happen is you're going to start to see remnants of what you have encountered when you close your eyes, right? Because you are living the life. You are um, seeing from a different perspective. You are realizing, like, you know what, I've been through some things, and you know what, this, you know, I look different because of it, right? And those two things start to intertwine, and the more those things start to mesh with each other, after a certain time, you would have been on a different plateau. You have reached another level. I personally feel like once you realize you're on a different excuse me, once you have realized that you are on a different level, usually it's because you are already going on to, it's like the end of that level, you know. It's always like that. I feel like by the time you realize it's over, it's been over, it's time to get to the next one. And this is why, you know, you can always feel like life is dragging you, you know, because time is fleeting. We are the ones, listen, we are the ones who have to have time. Human beings are the ones who created time, because, you know, it worked for us. You know, we know when this time we do this and everything. And yes, that is true. But somewhere along the line, we have forgotten that. So when we get caught up with how the transparency of the physical reality and the reality that has not yet been foreseen, it can feel kind of shifty. This is why meditation is extremely important, because you get to learn certain skills that will enable you to constantly be in a state of mind regardless of what's going on. And listen, I'm not sitting here saying that everything is going to be perfect once you start practicing the things that I am suggesting. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying that you will be able to deal and continue staying in a state of mind, in a state of peace that will allow you to get through and constantly evolve and become, right? Because this is a marathon, not a race, right? This is a marathon, not a race. Once you understand that, you get to have fun with it. You get to have fun with life. You get to show up the way you want to show up, to be honest. You know, yesterday I had such a, I would say, hot child. I had such a hot and peaceful day. It was a peaceful day. I went by the water. I had a gorgeous time. I got some pastries from my favorite deli, one of my favorite delis, and I just sat there. I just had like a legit a picnic. picnic within myself. I had my book. I had my book. I had a little pad and pen because I wanted to take time to just write down, get some thoughts down on paper, and I just allowed myself just to chill. You know, I was sweating my what you call this off. But we were still cute and wet. And I did have on. I will say, especially as you become a little longer in the tooth, covering up your skin is definitely a thing. At least it is for me. It's definitely not having that. I wear sunscreen. I'm trying. I'm working really hard, guys, to remember to put on some sunscreen when I am, especially in the heat. But covering up my arms, I had on this oversized white collared linen shirt on yesterday, and it was so. And that's another thing, having good fabric that just breathes. So that was definitely helpful. But the draping over the skin, it was that for me, and it just felt so good. And allowing myself to be in a state of mind, I just feel so um, rejuvenated. This is why giving yourself what you want. Like, I could have, did the regular degular, right? I could have just stood and did what I did at home. It wasn't a big, I did have some errands to do, but it wasn't a big must that I had to be out there. But nonetheless, I allowed myself to be. And whenever I do that, there is a peace that comes, you know, from within. And this is why I'm suggesting the things that I'm suggesting to you, because guys, like, in order to truly live in your most highest state, you need a sense of peace. You need a sense of understanding. You need to um, be in a position where you can think clearly. And the only way that you'll be able to do that and achieve that is by being alone with yourself. Okay? Start living your new reality. So I pretty much touched on that already, but to go even further, understand that whatever you are desiring to achieve right now, it's already done. I remember listening to some of Earl Nightingale's speeches. I call him my uncle. And I remember, and I have made this phrase, and definitely it came from him. I may put it in my own terms, but this is where I got it from. Whatever you truly want and desire, and I'm paraphrasing. Once you understand the phonetics and the polarities of life, just in terms of the cause and effects of things, if you are, listen, if you are showing up, if you are putting in the work, if you are uh, really taking whatever you are doing seriously, you're gonna achieve it. You're gonna achieve it. So, not getting caught up in the what ifs and hows frees you to just focus on what is. And what is that you have made a decision to show up, to show up. So from that point, it's no longer a question of whether or not you are going to achieve whatever you are setting out to achieve. It's just a matter of time. Guys, it's just a matter of time, because your mission is just bridging the gap from where you are now to where you need to be. And that pretty much is what life is about. We go from one phase constantly evolving into the next. understanding your position in your life is extremely important, right? Because regardless of what you decide or not decide to do or don't decide to do, life is going to still evolve. You're still going to be getting older. You're still going to um, be going through the different phases of whatever you are um, living. And especially if you no longer want to live a particular phase, then you have to start taking different, different approach, seeing things from a different approach, seeing things from a different perspective. That's the only way that you are going to be able to obtain any type of permanent change. But if you live a life of wonder, if that's what you want to do, where you just allow the day to show up however it shows up, and allowing whatever gift or whatever comes your way, so be it. And you know what? That may work for certain people, but I'm specifically talking to the ones who are strategic, who are planners, you know, who truly understands what wash, rinse, and repeat means. This is not a glamorous thing that I am suggesting. This is why I take so much time to explain why creating the atmosphere, creating the life that you want, becoming, talking, presenting yourself, becoming the thing. Because doing the thing is not going to always show up because it's fun, right? It's a blessing to be able to do the thing. Like I'm extremely I'm extremely blessed to be able to come and speak to you guys and present in the way that I am able to present to you guys. But it does have its own work. There's a lot of behind the scenes, right? Just like anything else. So, not coming from a space of creating and making whatever I'm doing fun becomes unfun very easily. And I always go back. It's so funny, guys. I love how allergies now, guys. I'm just telling you. I love how it's such a blessing to be able to look back and discuss a lot of different details that has happened along the way, because as I speak to you guys, I'm also presented with past experiences, and I love that. And it just goes to show how much experience, these are the gold nuggets that I give you from a 51-year-old perspective. Okay? And let me tell you something. This is a real thing right here that I'm speaking. So when I grew up in I grew up in an era where you had to do chores. You wasn't going outside. You wasn't having any fun. There was no phone privileges, TV. We didn't have the internet. That was non-existent at that time that I know about. Definitely was existent in my house. And excuse me, you had to do your chores. That was your payment for being in that house. You messed up too. And rightfully so, because we're all using the amenities, right? And my mom, was a single parent at the time, so she was the breadwinner. She was bringing home the bacon, so the least I didn't always see it like that, but the least we could do is help out, right? So anyway, on Saturdays it was a real thing. You watch your cartoons, and you got to those chores, and you had to do those chores correctly in order to get the head nod, the yes sir, the yes ma'am, to go outside, and I hated doing my chores. I didn't hate it. You know what? I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it either. You know, I think I was doing it so long I didn't get a chance to hate it, but I definitely didn't like it. And but I understood why it needed to be done. I think that's why I didn't hate it. I was one of those kids, like I was always mature in that way. Like I pretty much like, okay, like it made sense. Like I wanted to help my mom. You know what I mean? I wanted to um, help make her life easier. You know, as much as I could. You know, at the time, because God knows I didn't make it easy as well. So doing the chores, I would like put on music. I would put on my mom's stereo. I would, I don't know if I would put on anything on television. Maybe I probably did have something, excuse me, playing, but definitely I would have music playing, whatever hit song that was out back then. And I would just clean up. I would just do what was asked of me, you know, whether it's in my room, like whatever, I just would do it. But I would always be making it, you know, more than it was, you know, having fun, allowing myself to be lost in my imagination, just to see myself through, doing what was required of me at the time. And before I know it, it was done, you know, and it was time for the inspection, because yes, it was an inspection. It would be that. And you know how like they always find, you know how they always find the dust. I don't know, you know, I mean now I know as a mother you see everything, but they always find the dust. Uh-oh. Okay, so guys, hold on because I gotta open the door for my cat Luna. Back. Luna is not playing. Where did I put? Okay. Luna is not playing. Luna's my cat. She's like the best cat ever. I adopted her. It's going on. Actually, yeah. This August would be 3 years. She's 7. I got her when she was like 4. So funny that her and I don't want to say his name. I think he wants to leave too. I don't know. Let's see. I have my teacup Yorkie. I don't want to say his name. His name is Benji. I don't want to say his name too loud because then he's gonna think I want to play. But I have him here as well because I didn't want to leave him in his space. This hair right here, you know, the way I have this angle, I'm trying to see. Okay, how are we liking it here today? I'm loving it. I love the beach waves. It's giving. I always like gravitate to the same kind of hair, but anyway, it's giving like beach waves. I just put like flexi rods in it, and here we are. I didn't feel like curling it. Anyway, so start living your new reality. Some of the things that you could do, even if you are still working a physical job, some of the things that you can do um, is go to go to really nice restaurants, right? Go to really nice restaurants, you know. And when I say nice, you don't even have to spend a lot of money. You could go on Groupon. You could purchase some visits to restaurants. I'm actually going to do that myself. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. I just wrote it down legit. Okay. Okay. You okay. So we will remember that because I always say I want to do that and I always forget. So I'll definitely put that in my repertoire because what I like to do, I like to not a lot, but like I'll purchase maybe like three, right? Because you got to use them after a certain time, and if you don't use them, they will go to waste. So you just be mindful of that. Look at the date. If you know that you are not going to, they usually last like a year, but just in case, just I would say purchase it around the time that you know that you will be up to doing something like that, so you won't like waste your money because I have done it. But anyway, purchasing little outings for yourself in areas that you probably wouldn't go by yourself on a given day. Look at the ambiance. What is the ambiance giving? A nice chic area, or something fun. Maybe if you love art, you can join one of those tours um, in a museum, or you can go to like the paint. What's that? Sip and paint. One of those shows. You could also take somebody with you if you choose. That's a thought. Doing things like that allows you. It's like you are. How can I put it? You're basically rewarding yourself for the life that you're living, if that makes any sense. You're rewarding yourself for the life that you are living. You're rewarding your ability to transform. And this is especially if you are interested in alchemy, the transmutation of one form to the next is pretty much what the concept, or the study, I should say, the study of alchemy, one of the pure states of the concepts of practicing alchemy, you know, because you are allowing yourself to constantly evolve, ascend, grow, rebirth, grow, rebirth, die and come again. You know, a lot of people are fearful of the unknown, death, right? A lot of time, well, a lot of times people are afraid. Like no one, I mean, for the most part, really knows what's on the other side. But who's to say that it is another side? What about if it's just a trend? It's a trend. It's a state of being that you transcend. Yeah, physically, right? Physically, you may not. How can I say? Physically, you may not be in the physical body, right? Like physically, no longer people could see you physically, right? But who's to say that the state of mind, the state of being, doesn't transcend into something else? You cannot say it doesn't. It does. A lot of times it's because the fear of what does it transcend to. You just don't know. But I would say this is even more so just to live the life, right? It's like, and also put out transparent energy where it's just everlasting. That's what I do, already preparing. The Egyptians did it. They You don't think you don't think they were onto something, going that deep to prepare for an afterlife, you know, getting buried with the amount of treasure. Forget gold, treasure. There have been pharaohs to have been known to get buried with their servants. I mean, alive. I mean, he was already, but they were put into the tomb along with all his other assets, so they would be able to help him, or continue serving him, I should say, continue serving him in the afterlife. Now, where did this concept come from? Were they just all mad and crazy and it's like, oh my god, like these people are barbarics? Or were they geniuses? To this day, this culture, this way of thinking, their concept, their study is still to this day being studied and copied. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. You know, um, a lot of scholars have connected Thoth to one of the main reasons why they had the type of education um, that they did. Now, whether you believe these concepts that I am mentioning or not, the truth of the matter is energy doesn't die. It's scientific, like scientifically, like energy, everything has energy. Every single thing holds a certain type of vibration. You know, this is why in a lot of there's certain religions, you know, bones, you know, are used. And yes, I said religions because just because certain practices doesn't practice a common thought process doesn't mean it's not a religion. You know, what is a religion? Somebody that goes to the gym 5 days a week, measures their food, only purchase certain meals, one would say that's their religion, their physical health, their workout. Like the gym is their religion. There's some people that aren't wanted like that. I remember when I was going hard, guys. I was going hard. Your girl was going hard at the gym, honey. I mean, and this is these are the things that you can encounter when you become and you ascend. What it was about 2 years ago. I was going towards my 50th birthday, so um I had this outlook of self mastery. Now they say be careful of what you pray for. Okay, like legit, be careful of what you pray for, but you might just get it. And be sure to check out the comments down below. The comments. Be sure to check out the information down below because I actually have a series when I was just like going to the gym and just working out and talking about self mastery and all those things leading up to my 50th birthday. So be sure to subscribe to my vlog channel because all of those vlogs and information is on that platform. Guys, so I was going to the gym and I hired a personal trainer. He was so sweet. He was a cute young man, and he was training me. He was training me. I was training. I was showing up to training even when I didn't want to go. I didn't want to train, but I was doing it anyway. I was working out. I was lifting weights. I was doing all of that. Your girl was in it. It got to a point where I just was like, I thought I was just like a Supergirl. And and this is before I hit the road with my back injury, but I thought I was a Supergirl. I was in there. I was working hard and being cute while I was doing it, right? And then I realized that because I was so in tune with this new way of thinking, this new self and self mastery, that I started ignoring other things, right? Like um, making sure to balance the things I was um, picking up because a sense of I was harnessing, I was living in that male dominant energy, you know. And it's not to say that a woman cannot work out. Of course she can, But we have to understand, or I should say, it's wise to understand that certain activities you are tapping more into your masculine or your feminine energy. And I was teetering on that masculine energy. I literally was. And it was powerful. It felt really good. But my body, my true self, right? My true self, because I wasn't listening to the feminine aspect, maybe like getting more rest, um, uh, maybe not going as often, not lifting as heavy, I hurt myself. There's no other way to say it, okay? I did that, and luckily enough, and not even luck, I was blessed to be able to recover, where I was able to do a lot of other things. You'd be surprised, your back is everything, okay? And I had best bed rest for the month. I have never had that experience before, and it's not a good experience. But nonetheless, I share this because I was ignoring what was inside. Yeah, go through the transformation. I was transforming. I was elevating myself. And another thing, I wasn't being honest with myself as well, because yeah, I was going through the self mastery, but I personally believe, especially looking back, there was a level of fear in me. I was afraid of becoming old, right? I would have never said that 2 years ago, but that's really what it was. Because when I think about it, I'm like, girl, why you was going so hard? I mean, I am a perfectionist, and and I'm working on that, because there's no such thing as perfect. But I'm always, making a point to do my best. But doing your best to the detriment of yourself is not your best, right? So anyway, why do I bring this up? Why am I sharing this with you? Because not allowing time and sitting with myself, I was transitioning, yes, and that was part of it. Yes, get, workout. I have always been an active person, but like I was going hard, guys. Work out, do what you have to do, right? That's what you should do. You want to live this life in the best self as possible. But there are other things that also is acquiring your attention when you are going through different phases. That's why I kept saying. That's why when I heard, I don't know, it was like something. I did my yoga today, and I was meditating, and that title, "One Door from the Next," actually came into my mind. And honestly, it came into my mind even earlier than that, because I was just thinking about how people are so afraid to reach higher levels, higher state of mind. We all say, "Oh, I'm on a what's that song? I'm on a new level," right? But yet, we don't allow ourselves to be on that level. We don't allow ourselves to be on that level. We don't allow ourselves to grow. So, living your reality, becoming the thing, doing the thing, while still understanding that just because you're becoming, don't disengage from from everything else in your life. Like, just try to have like a balance. Basically, that's what I'm saying. So one of the things that I believe that helps you to maintain, cultivate, become, constantly evolve, and grow. These three things, I feel like if you always do and you always practice, you'll always find yourself in a balance. Because I'm gonna tell you, life is not going to stop because you want to be you are up leveling your way of doing things. You are ascending. You are growing, because you may have just came from, or experienced certain situations in your life that have allowed you this position, because this is a position. You know, if you are resonating with anything that I'm saying, it's because you went through a couple of things, right? And you find yourself now on a certain level where you may need a little help being on that level. It's true. And this is where you have you know people that pour into you, like myself. We are so blessed to find different people that can pour into us. I know I'm very grateful for the amount of people that I have came across that have poured into me when I found myself on a new level that I wasn't used to. Because a lot of times, it's like playing a game. You play a game, and in the beginning, the game is easy, right? It's like, okay, it's manageable. Okay, you got this, right? And then somewhere along the line, the game just got hard, right? That's because now you have ascended into such a level that you have never personally experienced in that consistent amount of time. And this is why people get coaches and so forth, right? So these three things, while you are cultivating, while you are growing, while you are building your own repertoire, because it's not about being like everybody else, it's about being you. And you are going to, like I mentioned a little earlier in the live, you are going to be, as you're ascending, cultivating, maintaining certain aspects, that you are receiving certain things. They all come with its own seasoning, right? So one of the things that I would suggest you implement in your life to constantly be able to, with all the shifts and turns that life is giving to you, constantly able you to still grow and build, right? Because we don't want to get all the way over here to be dropped down all the way down to here just because life is happening. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You have to hold on with everything, okay, to be able to consistently and constantly and consciously elevate, because life is not going to lay down flowers sometimes, but more often, maybe not. So you can trace and just like get on your new level. That's not going to happen. But if you practice these three things, and people come with 5, 10, those are great too. But I always feel like, especially when you are working towards a new mindset, a new perspective, easy is your best friend. Going the easy route is your best friend. Number one, is going to help you to retain the information, and it's going to help you focus, right? Because the more simple, the more you're able to focus. You're able to focus on the thing, and then next thing you know, as you start to get stronger in your skills, you'll be able to um, add more, add more. But always leave, how can I say, always leave enough enough room on your plate to feel like you're not all the way full. Always leave room on your plate to feel like you're not all the way full. There are, I don't know, it's an etiquette thing. I have heard that. I don't know. I finished my plate, but like when you go, excuse me, when you go out on a date, like don't eat all your food. That used to be a thing. Is that still a thing? I have been on a date for a while, but okay, like, and that was by choice, but it was a thing back in the day, like, oh, oh, you're not gonna eat all of that? Oh, I'm just full. I'm full. I'm full. But it was good, looking cute, like you just eat air and that's it. And I don't know where we came up with these things, but that was definitely a thing back in the day when I was younger. Like, you ate at home. You ate, you're going out to eat. You're going out to eat, but you eat home first. Well, you should always eat home first, but you eat home first. And then when you go out to eat, you could do a couple of things. You could have like maybe like a cute salad, you know, or you can, I mean, honestly, I'm old school. I feel like it depends. Like, I guess if you're not comfortable with the person, you don't want to be starving. So I would suggest you eat at home first so you can have a little something. Excuse me, because you don't want to really eat. Because some people have this issue with eating in front of somebody. So if you are that person, definitely eat before. But outside of that, there used to be a concept where you ate so you wouldn't have to eat so much in front of your date. But in other cultures, that shows like, you're not greedy. There's so many different ways that you could go about it, but for the lack and for the betterment of staying on topic, because I'll move on for a little bit. That's why I got my little notes here. Um, Having enough space in your life to feel like you can add more to your plate in terms of your goal, always leave room to be bored, basically. Leave that room, leave that room, because one or two things is going to happen. You're either going to be bored or you're going to find something to do willingly. And coming from that place willingly and not begrudgingly, like, oh, I got to do this, you bring that much more positive energy towards whatever you are going to create, right? It actually tricks the mind into wanting, it actually tricks the mind to doing more than just piling everything on one plate. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. And I got this pot open. I got this pot open. And then next thing you know, because the mental, it's too much mental, it's too much real estate being taken up here, right? Now you just are exhausted. You're exhausted, and now you don't want to do anything, and then this is when depression comes in, or you start to not finish what you started because you are overwhelmed. It's not even so much that you don't like the thing anymore, but you're just overwhelmed. So always leave room on your plate to feel like, you know what, I can be doing this, or I can be creating this, or you know what, whatever. You know, um, not gunning so hard for it because it's already yours. It's already yours, right? So when you do that, you're able to create a system. And the system that I'm about to give y'all, like, honestly, this is really sweet that I'm gonna give y'all. And starting off with these three, I feel like I've always done these things, but if I knew how good these three things that I'm about to mention works, I would have just cut to the chase. But you know what? I'm gifting you guys this information. I'm glad that I can pour into you guys in this way from my experience and my perspective, because if I can help even one person, I have done my job. So the first one is, I got an A, B, and C. So A is study. Study, 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 study. You gotta study. You don't have to, but if you want to achieve what I'm suggesting, you have to study. Why do I say study? Well, number one, where the mind goes, the body follows. Where the mind goes, the body follows. The body goes. So, number one, cultivating your mind. Read. And everything don't have to always be a fun book, but you can start off there. You know, getting in the habit of reading. I know we read on our phones. That's good. I know that we read captions, and we text. Um, we do a lot of things on our phone, but there's nothing like a good book, guys. I'm sorry, 10 out of 10. A physical book. Yes, I'm sorry. Look. Okay, wait. You got to take those books. You got to have a book. You got to have a book that you constantly go back to. Okay? Start off with one chapter. One chapter. Better yet, start off with 3 pages. 3 pages, because sometimes those chapters could be long. I'm not going to even hold you with that one. Chapters can be really, really long, so depending on when you start. And that's another thing. Start at a time where you're able to keep your eyes open. Like, don't just like, I'm gonna read at night and go to bed at 10, and then yeah, you're already tired and you're trying to read this book, but yet you fell asleep and nothing. Okay. The only time, and I'll get into that I will suggest for you to do in terms of that, I'll give you a remedy for that. But studying and reading a book, like reading a physical book, like going, making time, like if you are on your way to work, instead of looking at your phone, have a book. You know, yes, you can have it on your Kindle. I have a Kindle. I do. You know, it's funny. I appreciate my Kindle. I'm not gonna lie. I do appreciate my Kindle. Excuse me. I do appreciate having the ability to have a thin device as that to read a book. I do appreciate that. But there's nothing, in my humble opinion, that will ever take away the power that a physical book has. It's just not. It's 10 out of 10. You know, the smell, the turning of the pages, the 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 bookmark. You know what I mean? Like mine's. You know, I go through so many bookmarks to the point where it's like I still have like the little bummy ones where you just take a paper and just put it, or receipt, you just put it right there. Because like, where are my bookmarks? Anyway, I digress. Having having a physical book, having something in your hand where you can like turn the pages, sit down, you know, make it pretty. Go to your favorite coffee shop and bring your book. It's nice outside if you live in the northern hemisphere. Find a nice park on a shaded tree. Read your book. Excuse me. Have something cold, you know, with you. Have some, you know, what I'm saying is create it. Create, going back to what I was saying when I had to do my chores when I was younger. I allowed myself to be in a mind state that would allow me to get through doing the thing that I didn't want to do. Because when you are not used to reading, it's gonna feel begrudged. You know, I know it did for me. Like it's weird. I love to read, but then I didn't want to sit. It's the sitting. It's the sitting for me, right? But I had to learn. Guys, when I speak to you guys, I'm coming from my own personal experience. Okay, I'm coming from experience of not only personally but also study. So I am confident that these things do work if consistently practiced, you know, because sitting down is a lost art. We are always, moving about, shuffling, just being appeased in that way so much that it can be a struggle to stay still. And this is why meditation is extremely important, because it helps in those practices, right? All these things that I'm mentioning are for specific reasons. So studying, reading a book, finding a topic that is of total interest for you, making time to do research. You know, having a book is such a gateway into your curious mind. You'd be surprised. Listen to audiobooks. I'm gonna get on that, but just to like further push on the physical book, it forces you to get in the zone, get into the atmosphere. You're not being bombarded by notifications from your phone or a glare from the light. That's why the Kindle is really good. I have the one that I forget leave a comment down below if you know what generation they're at, or what particular one that is. But I have the one where, or all of them is like that. Basically, it gives you the ability to have a book like experience, so the glare is not, it's soothing on the eye, right? And then you can also see the words in the sun. But a physical book allows you to get down to the basics, and it also practices a form of self-control. There is also a meditation in there because you are allowing your mind's eye, your imagination to get into the words, right? And words, depending on what kind of book you are reading, you are feeding you're feeding yourself regardless. But so, I would hope that if you're feeding yourself something good. And honestly, if you are really having a hard time reading physical books, I would even say, you know you can even go to the library and read some books that you don't want to necessarily spend your money on, but have the ability to read. Start off with any, like, it could be action, it could be fiction, it could be anything, but just start. It doesn't have to be like a serious TV book. It doesn't have to be like something like so big, because you want to enjoy the book. It could be a real light read, um, but have the ability, create the moments where you sit down and read. It could be even a magazine, but we want to go to a book. But just creating the habit and slowly, but surely getting into the book. And I will mention this before I go into the audiobooks. Don't feel guilty if you got halfway through the book and it's like it's not doing it for you. Now, don't always practice that. Sometimes force yourself, even if you like, force yourself to finish the book. Maybe not in one swoop. Take it in bites. Take it in bites. That's what I do. I like right now. I kid you not. I'm between at least 5 books. Two of them is an Audible right now, and I believe three. I want to say more, but what I do, I just allow the books to call to me. It depends on my mood. It depends on how I'm feeling that day. It depends on what I want to to feel, to be, to read, to study. I just allow myself to have that moment and not get so caught up on, I gotta finish this book because I started it. I used to be like that. So I'm freeing you if you are that type of person. If you are that type of person. Not that you needed freedom. Not that you needed me to free you, but I'm just saying. Um, Audiobooks. Now, like I suggested earlier, excuse me, if you are finding that, let's just say that you have like a big family or a lot of responsibilities where, reading, you love to read, you want to read, but it's just not a thing, and the only time you have is at nighttime. The only time you have is at nighttime and no other time, but you want to start reading. And every time you lay your pretty, lovely head on that pillow, your eyes get really heavy and you don't get to finish. You don't even get to the next page, nevertheless, finishing off those 3 pages that I suggested. Okay, I would say audiobooks would be definitely your best gateway into the reading game. And here's why. So let's just say, for argument's sake, because we're still creating the atmosphere, we're still creating the vibe. We're not just like, putting on. You can, but this is when you are more seasoned into the game. In the beginning, what I would suggest you do, especially if you are on a time crunch and you truly don't have the strength to keep up with a physical book. There's something called winding down time. I'm sure we all have it, and if you don't, you should create one. Okay, and what do I mean by winding down time? Usually before we go to bed, we have our own rituals of the things that we love to do. Um, I love to slowly but surely peel back the onion. What do I mean by that? Changing my clothes, taking off the eyelashes, the hair, the makeup, all the zhuzhes, or no hair, no makeup, whatever, however you showed up that day. As time you finish dinner, whatever you was doing, you take it, literally taking off the day, getting somber in our minds. Even if we could incorporate some breathing exercises, I would say that would be a good suggestion. It's definitely helpful. But just like slowly but surely. So now you're in your room, you're in your humble abode. You're getting ready, putting on your lotion, doing whatever you're doing, um, to get into the bed, right? The whole time that you're doing all these things that I just mentioned, you could be listening to your audiobook. You could be listening to your audiobook. You can have it playing while you're in the shower. You could have it playing while you're making up your bed you're unmaking your bed to get in it. Hopefully you are making your bed every single day, because that should be the first thing that you do. That, scientifically, not to geek out, but like, there has been a study about why it's important to make your bed. Like, that's the first thing that you should do in the morning. It gives a sense of accomplishment, and productivity, leading towards everything else you do for your day. So you're welcome. So the whole time you're moving around, you could have been reading your audiobook. You could read your audiobook. So now, by the time you have done all these things, now we in the bed. Well, now we not in bed, but you're in the bed. And get in the sheets, make it, if you have like a dim light, could dim the light, and you can just like lay back and listen to the book. And eventually you will drift off. You will go to sleep. You will fall asleep on that book. I kid you not. But here's bonus. While you are sleeping, yeah, you got it. Subconsciously, you are receiving the information. Now, in the beginning, excuse me, in the beginning, you may not feel like that, or maybe you will. So, this is what I do when I find myself in this mode, and if I'm doing what I'm suggesting to you in the excuse me, in the morning, while I am getting ready, I will start off to I will go back to the point that I consciously remember, and I'll just start reading the book. That's the point. That's the beauty of having an audiobook, because you can rewind, you can pause. You have somebody not narrating to you. They have like the ones with the robot. I mean, I don't know how I feel. I think I read one book and it had like the AI voice. It wasn't, and the AI voice is good. It wasn't as bad, but it depends on the book. But hopefully, is a real person, whatever you choose, and you listen to the book and you are retaining the information. Before you know it, you have already read a book, which will pique your interest to want to study into something else. Because a lot of times, that's why I don't put so much emphasis on the type of book you should read, because reading will have you be curious. It opens up the curiosity. So when you start reading, you start making time to do research. See, they go hand in hand, because while you're reading, you might hear, more than likely you'll hear phrases that you probably have not been accustomed to hearing, right? And then that's when we take pen to paper and we make our notes, so we can revisit those things that piqued our interest, right? And now we're doing research, right? We're doing research now. Now we're finding out things. We're digging. We're moving from the book to now cultivating and digging a little deeper into a specific topic. These are all aspects of studying. Before you know it, you are or have found a new love or a new understanding of something that would what you would not have never took the time to look into if you didn't take time to read. This is why studying and reading obviously goes, well, I would, well, obvious for me, but if not for you, it does go hand in hand when you think about it. So when you hear phrases, or I don't know if they still say that, but they used to say it back in the day, reading is fundamental. It is. Reading is fundamental because you get to expand in your mind. This is why reading whenever there is any type of oppression, the first thing that they take away is knowledge. Always remember that. Whenever there's any type of oppression, the first thing to go is knowledge. Hide all the books. Take the books away. Don't bring the books around. There's punishment for the books. Because any intelligent mind understands what happens when you start to feed the mind. It grows. You can no longer, one thing you can never do, you can never unknow something, good or bad. You can't unknow it. You can change your perspective or be taught to further understand what you have came across. You can do that. But can you unknow something? No, you cannot. And this is another reason why, a lot of religious institutions veer away from certain knowledge, from certain topics, because it's a purposeful thing. Guys, it's purposeful. It's purposeful. Once you start to see things and put things in certain categories, you start to see how people have purposely hid certain things from you. It's just a fact. And a lot of people like to blame the educational system for that. For me, I was one of those people. And trust me, I know as what I say, but what I have come to realize, obtaining knowledge is a personal journey. That is up to you. That is up to you to be willing to dig, and for you to be willing to study and understand what place it has in your life, in order for you to continuously achieve the things that you are achieving. Because let's just be honest, anybody that listens to my podcast, I would say understands or are people that create on their own right, in their own right, whatever they choose. You know, so there is no excuse when it comes to not allowing yourself to receive a certain amount of knowledge, because it's just honestly laziness. I know for me, anytime where I fell off my A game with my reading, I'm like, when's the last time you picked up a book? Okay. And it's now it has been reading has become such a has become such a part of my life that I literally feel the nudge when I'm not doing it as much. Like I can feel like, oh, like what's going on? Okay. And when you are able to put yourself in a type of in a type of journey of a self education, people can't mess with you too much. They just can't. They can't just come with the gibberish. And it's not because you know everything. It's because as you are reading, as you are studying, as you are listening, um, however you choose to receive your information, spiritually something is happening to you. You know, it's not just cognitive. Spiritually something is happening to you. You are growing. You're learning. Everything is intermingling. So if some nonsense happened to like trip over your plate, you're like, get out of here with that. No thank you. It's a big no. It's a big no thank you. We're riding the no thank you bus. What color is the bus? I want to say it's yellow, but I'm gonna say it's lavender. You know why? Because that's self love. Like, I love myself enough to teach myself. Thank you. Right? So having the ability to study builds, just puts you on a different level altogether from the mundane. It takes you instantly put yourself in a different category. Period. You do. You do. Never be afraid to learn what you don't know. A true student understands that they are a forever student. I am a forever student. There is, as long as I am blessed, I'm always, I will always be learning. And I'm grateful to have that ability. You know, there are people in certain countries that don't have the ability to walk with certain books, right? So the fact that you have that ability and you choose not to use your abilities, and then we question why things are not moving fast enough, or our inabilities to be able to obtain or achieve certain things. A lot of it stems from you not knowing. How can you create anything with any true substance if you don't truly understand the thing? So putting in the time, like, again, watch, rinse, and repeat, doing the same things over and over again. After a while, you're gonna hit gold. Trust. Okay. So that's studying. The next one, which is B. One of the major things, I should say, one of the major reasons why stars, like movie stars, are or especially back in the day, excuse me, before we had such abilities to get on our own camera and become our own star, we would sit and give energy to others. We would sit and watch these actors act out the life that we wish we had, right? We would sit there for hours. I know I did, you know, for hours and hours about just dreaming, and we wonder why these actors are like gods, right? And that's because we willingly, here's my energy, here we go, here's my money. And there's nothing wrong with that, having fun. I love a good movie, but understanding that before you give anyone or anything, give it to yourself first. And one of the things is to mirror the very thing that you say that you are. Like, okay, you're at this moment, you're at the place of transition, you have been studying, you have been, you're staying hydrated, you are doing your meditations, you are moving your body, you know, you're just feeding yourself in a way that you have never fed yourself before, but yet you don't look like the thing. And looking like the thing is first looking like the thing from within. Like, who you are internally usually shows up. So whatever, and this could go good or bad, but we for the we're staying on the good side, for lack of this topic, right? But not to exclude the negative part as well, because that is a really, actually, that's like the best example in terms of what needs to happen, because a lot of times we can get so deep into the studying and doing the other things internally that we don't pay attention to what's going on outside, and then we start to get some type of anxiety or depression because we think that things are not moving along. Like, here it is, I put in all this time, I put in all this work, but yet I don't have anything to show for it. Well, that's because you're not making time to cultivate in that area. That's all that is. This is why I gave the example of when you meditate, and if you are making it a point to stay in tune with your present reality, when you open your eyes, it won't be so much of a culture shock. Because, like if you are a play, let's just say you're an empty nester, and all your kids have now left the nest, and you used to wake up really early in the morning to get everybody ready, make sure they have breakfast. You're the mom, you're the go-to, or the dad that's always, um, driving everybody everywhere, or whatever, or working, whatever, right? But now you don't have this, let's just say, for lack of better words, you don't have the same responsibilities. You're no longer the go-to in that um, retrospect. So now you have more time. You still got things to do. You still study. You still keeping up, but you're not using that free time to give back to yourself. You're not allowing your external to benefit what the internal work has been done. Celebrating yourself. Doing nice things for yourself. Um, Making it a point to put yourself together in the mornings, regardless if you have somewhere to go or not. You got to pass a mirror, right? You got to pass a mirror. So if you got to pass a mirror, you might as well like what you see. And yeah, we could go into saying like, oh, you should like yourself, no matter what you look like. Yes, but it helps when the eyes see something nice. We cannot veer away from that. I truly believe, and I feel like, honestly, working on your how you view yourself internally is number one before you get to what I'm suggesting, because if not, you you won't feel beautiful. You won't feel good about yourself when you take away all the things that you deem to be beautiful. So I love changing my hair up regardless of what I choose, but ultimately I love my natural hair. I don't care. Your natural essence is a gift that you have within yourself. But at the same token, it's a beautiful thing to have the craftsmanship to be able to change it up. Why leave any money on the table? Why are we not taking everything? Especially if it's going to further propel you to be in a spirit of creating that life, creating that atmosphere. You should create it, right? So when you open your eyes, you have the remnants, the essence, the smell even of the very thing that you're bringing from the dark into the light. So looking the part, looking the part is excuse me, let me tell you something. Looking the part is extremely, extremely important. I just finished reading 50 Cent's book. It's a really good book. Hustle Harder. I don't know if I'm even saying it correctly, but that book, he gave some really, um, it was really interesting hearing. And I got it out again. It was on Audible, and he's the one who narrated. Because I love when I hear. I have read good books where the author did not narrate the book, and that is fine too. But it's always, especially somebody like 50 Cent. They hear them taking the time that have tooken, have taken, have took the time to read his own book, and I should say narrate his own book. I appreciated that, so that was cool. And there was a part without, if you didn't read the books, spoiler alert. There's a part in the book where he mentioned in terms of perspectives. You know, um, in the beginning of his career or early in his career, well, even before, but I think it was really just early in his career. I believe one night he was driving in a luxury car, and a producer, I forget the name, a producer banged on his car, uh, assuming, because the car was a luxury car, so of course it was the producer had he's a man of a certain stature, so he assumed that that was his friend's car, because of the the make of the car. So of course 50 Cent, the person that he came out of his car. Of course, he wasn't the happiest to find another man banging on his car. It was a misunderstanding. The producer, thought it was his friend. When 50 Cent realized, okay, when 50 Cent realized who this person was, what did he do? He seized the opportunity that allowed him to get into a club with him, you know, and from there it went. But it wouldn't have happened if, yeah, he had the money, but he was sitting here driving a Toyota. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with a Toyota, but you gotta match. You gotta match the perspective, right? And we all know, rappers, they're very flashy. It's all about the bling bling. I don't want to go into song because of copyright, but okay, Lil Wayne. That's all I'm gonna say, right? And it was because of the perspective of this luxury car that this producer assumed that that was his friend, because I'm assuming he drove a similar car, or his friend was known to drive a similar type of car. So it was a frame in perspective. And through that perspective, 50 Cent was able to maximize on that because he had the look. He had the look. And a lot of, and now, men, I feel like men and women have a different approach to what I'm discussing. Like a lot of men, I'm not saying women are not into cars. My dream car is a Benz Jeep, black, peanut butter interior, okay? So, and sitting on the doves, basically. I always, that's my dream. That's my dream car. I share that with you guys. Thank you. So that means it's legit and it's on its way. In saying that, men are usually, whenever they want to change things up, the first thing they want to do is either get a car, usually a luxury car, a new car, some type of car, right? Um, vehicles too, but usually you would hear a car coming out. So for the simplicity of understanding, we're gonna say car for men. Women, it's more about our appearance. It could also be a tangible thing like a bag. Okay, a bag. We're gonna say a bag. You know, um, for a woman, a bag could definitely be a status thing. You walk in the room with the right type of bag. It's like you get into the right, like, oh, okay, girl, like, even if y'all know each other, it's like, right? The it club, if the it club, right? To make it simple, why is that? Why is that? As soon as you see a beautiful woman and she's carrying a luxury bag, you want to be her friend. Not really her friend, but it's like you don't mind her sitting at your table. Okay, and I'm being a little lame with this analogy, but I just really want y'all to understand what I mean in terms of look, right? Now, this man with this luxury car, that probably is not even well, that probably is not even his car. He's probably leasing the car. Not saying anything is wrong with leasing, but I'm just saying, like, did he buy the car? Like, it's a luxury car, but did he buy it? It's like, is his liquid runneth is his liquid runneth over as dust, to where I can believe that this is the sum, right? Does she have enough money to get in an Uber? Like, does she have Uber money, although she have that car? Like, does she even have $20 in that bag? Maybe not. Maybe, but maybe not. Both can be true. But one thing stays the same: perspective, right? No one knows what she's going through. That's nobody's business. as far as as far as she's concerned, and what it is, she's fly. Okay, she's fly. She's doing her thing. Okay, and everybody, because she's in that, she's exuding that type of energy. People that speak to her or is around her is going to assume that she's doing well. And this is really like high school lame, but I'm just giving you, I want to do it like that because I want you to understand the perspective essence of where I'm coming from when I say look like the part. You know, um, with a luxury car, right? A man may be working at a certain corporation, um, and maybe he wants a promotion, right? Now you could be saying, but well, then why is he spending so much money on a luxury car? And okay, stop playing your hair. I just love this hair, guys. Okay, so why is he spending so much money on a luxury car? And he's trying to get a promotion. Again, perspective, because there's something about money that brings more money. So it's a conversational, it's a striking up of a conversation as well. Like, another man see another luxury car, all of a sudden, for a little bit, the playing field gets kind of leveled out. Not because his superiors doesn't have a luxury car too. The conversation about the car, right? What's the make? What's the model? What year? Where did you get it? Who was it? Da, 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 da. You see, it's a basic amount of information that is being transferred between the two of them that allows the ability for other questions to enter. Now, if he was just driving a regular degular, they probably wouldn't even have seen him. They probably wouldn't even have noticed him. They probably wouldn't even have noticed he was in the parking lot. And It may sound superficial, but guess what? Welcome to the world. It is. It is. This is a capitalist society. It is. And when you understand that, and a lot of times, especially when people were brought up a certain type of way, especially, you know, religious aspects will have you believe that there is more honor in being a pauper than not. And now somebody will argue, no, we are the, but it's always when we come, like when a lot of times when you hear people in prayer, they coming from a place of like, it's almost like begging, right? There's plenty places in the Bible where it's like, come, if you know you have the thing, you have the thing. Like being confident, walk with confidence, understanding that you, like, I got this already. You know, like, oh, you know, yeah, I'm getting dressed. I'm going to this dealership. You know, I'm just browsing. I'm looking. Yes, I'm going to see this house opening. I'm browsing. I'm looking. You're educating yourself. You're learning. You're learning a new language, right? Because the approach you take um, to purchase certain things is different to other things. So you have to learn. So why are we afraid to allow ourselves to get in that bag? Literally. Why are we afraid to get in position? Right? Why are we afraid to put on the shoes, look, become the character that is part of another way of looking at things, another perspective, I should say, that is part, not all, but part of another perspective that would allow us to be closer to the information where we can further our education. Why are we afraid of that? Well, I believe it is it's self-esteem, lack, lack of self-esteem. It is. Because if you had a level of self-esteem, a certain level, I should say, if you had a certain level of self-esteem, you you wouldn't push away the opportunity to become. You wouldn't, because you are coming from a place of I deserve this. You know, if anything, you're like, I should have did this a long time ago. But you know what? I'm here now. I deserve it. I deserve to. I deserve this. So you know, being that I deserve this, let me start learning about this. Let me start understanding. You know, what are the requirements? What is required of me to obtain this thing? You know, you want to know you want to know what you're talking about, at least something about what you're talking about when you're getting into different rooms. Again, walking into from one door to the next. Because when you are going to speak to a real estate agent about a particular property, you want to know certain things. You want to know the language. Like, you know, you want to know things like equity. You want to know, you know, like what is the plumbing, what's that, the city plumbing system in the area, depending on where you want to go. I'm just giving y'all examples, but you want to know not everything, but you want to know what you're talking about. So when they are discussing certain things and you coming back with what you know, it's like it's hard to mess with you because it's like, oh, like what else she know, what else does she know, or what else does he know? Ooh, this is a tough one. You know, I thought I was gonna make this commission real quick, but this person coming over here with knowledge that I can't bypass. Darn it! You see, See? And it's fun. It's fun because when people underestimate you, oh my God, that's just like one of the, like, people get upset, like, oh, you underestimated me. But you know what? Sometimes that is, to me, that is like dessert. Because the trip up is amazing to me. You know what I mean? And these are the things you benefit from when you take the time. You take the time, guys, to cultivate, to understand, to study, to pour back into self. You see, guys? But last and not least, right? So we got the look. We understand before I get into the last one, okay? And you know, you see the rhythm because we did study, we did look, but just to get back on the look thing, I just want to also say that, you know, even if you are uncomfortable, because you're gonna be uncomfortable. This is something that you probably never done. Like, you know, maybe excuse me, you find yourself in a new position. Maybe you got a raise. Maybe you are already in an elevated um, point of your life, but you because you studied and because you worked so hard to get there, a lot of other things like your excuse me, the way you show up um, have fell to the wayside. It's not too late. If you're finding this video, this if you are finding this live, right? This live show, this is a sign for you. You know, study, look at YouTubers, look at magazines. Do people still do that? Do people still like make it a point to like have an evening with some chocolate and a glass of wine and a good magazine? That used to be my vibe. Oh my gosh. I don't drink wine as much as I used to. I mean, I didn't drink so much, but you know. Um, but I used to love to, and this is what, especially when my son was younger. I'm telling you, I was always like this. I'm gonna create. You know, Calgon take me away. That was an old commercial. Okay, relaxation. I would get a good magazine and have it be bougie too. Like I would have like either Vogue was of course top tier for me, and it was nice and thick, right? And Glamour magazine, like, or sometimes the tabloids when that was a thing back in the day, or the lies. Anyway, I would have that, and I would have a good, a good thing of chocolate. You know, I would have Godiva. Like that was like my thing back in the day. Like, or but there's so many different chocolates. Like, you know, milk chocolate with caramel, whatever. Have a nice piece of chocolate or whatever you decide in terms of dessert, and a nice glass of Moscato. Mm, mm, mm. Oh, and my favorite wine of choice back in the day was Pinot Grigio. I remember it was a lot. I believe it was like the last live, and I couldn't remember um, what wine that was, or maybe that was on my other channel. Oh, and be sure to subscribe to my other channel at Elizabeth Magical Garden because I go live on that channel as well. But I would sit there, I would play some music, and I would just create the vibe. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, the atmosphere just felt so much more elevated. I just felt good. You know what I mean? Even if I didn't get through the whole magazine, I just, you know, it just propelled me to be in a state of mind, excuse me, where I further wanted to show up in that particular frame of mind, right? So don't be afraid of the change and the shift. Think about it like this. If it's showing up in this manner, it's because of all the work you did inside. Like, why wouldn't your higher self look different? And it's not to say that how you look right now is not gratifying or beautiful, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the position, right? The thing. Maybe you just like got like you're in like I said, you are in an elevated place, but you may feel uncomfortable when it comes time to put yourself together, look like that thing. And a lot of times it's because of insecurity. It's like you did all this work, but you don't believe that you deserve to be here. And how you take it out on that prospect is by not looking like the thing. And it's very simple. It's very simple when you realize that, because where the mind goes, the body follows, right? So as you study, as you cultivate, you become a cultivating person. You have cultivated a new self. This is why I love alchemy, because as you study, as you learn, as you grow, as you transcend, you become different. The all the all the 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 things the that no longer serve scales off, gets this falls right off, and you become a beautiful butterfly. Allow yourself to become that butterfly. Allow it, even if it feels, even if you feel nervous, just still do it. After a while, visually, your eyes are going to get used to the new look, the new you. You ever see people that have a certain position, and they show up to a meeting, you like, oh, okay, oh, that's the okay, that's okay. And it's not to say that a person's ability to do the work changes just because they don't look a certain way. That's not the topic. That's not what we're talking about. But perception. What about if I came to a meeting and I met this person of a higher, I came to speak to the boss, and the boss is looking a little disheveled. His shirt is wrinkled. Like he's not showing up like he care. He's a great business person, but what about if because of his business sense or her business savvy, what about if I had her in mind because of her work ethics? What about if I had her in mind for a particular position, or if I want to pass the information from working with this person to somebody else? But that other person, maybe they deal with a certain caliber of people. I'm not going to feel comfortable really like suggesting, because his reflection, he or she's reflection is reflecting on me too. It could be that type of vibe. And it's like, well, I had a banquet, and this person you had speak, like, they was a great speaker, but like, they could have showed up like they actually respected what they do. So it's a form of respect. How you show up, you respect what you do, you respect the thing, and again, this is not about spending a lot of money. This is about starting where you are. This is about taking initiative to where you are, knowing that everything else, you're just bridging the gap at this point. Again, like I mentioned earlier in this live, you're bridging the gap to where you already know that you are going to be, or you want to be. So I hope I clarified on that. Last but not least, sound. Sound like the thing. Sound like it, you know. And again, all of these three things are obviously needed. I would say, I keep saying obvious because they just go hand in hand. Sound like the thing. And the only way that you are going to be able to sound like you know what you're talking about is through study. There's no other way. Which brings us back to number one, right? You have to put in the hours. You have to put in the hours in order for you to receive the knowledge. You know, if you don't put in the hours, like, listen, you could watch a couple of things, you could hear a couple of things, you could skim and come from your own perspective. That's one way of going about things. You can do that. But if you truly want to get far in life, you have to study. You have to study the thing that you want to get into, like literally become the essence of the thing. And through practicing, retaining, teaching, because teaching is a very, I always find is a great way to see how far you've come in your studies as well. But no one, or not even yourself, to be honest, let's start with you. You, because you have to believe first. Everything else is secondary. All these things that I'm mentioning, how people are viewing those things can be predetermined, but that is not your ultimate goal. I mean, that is, I would say, it's a bypass of your ability to achieve these things that I'm saying. So people and their perceptions are secondary. These things are for you, because these things that I'm suggesting builds a level of not only character but your self-esteem, right? Because the higher you go, the more is required. And the only way that you're going to be able to go higher if you have the ability to be strong in the area that you're moving forward to, even if you're still learning, right? How can you take yourself seriously if you don't sound like you consciously don't know what you're talking about? And let's just go a little deeper when it comes to sound, right? Sound is powerful. We don't, guys, a lot of things tend to go over a person's head naturally, not because they are incompetent of understanding, but more so is because they don't take the time to listen, right? This is why, excuse me, this is why songs, rhymes, nursery rhymes, especially, right? Because a lot of things that we learn, not, they use the senses, right? Sound. A lot of, it's not a mistake where a lot of, like, they teach you certain things through the phonetics of sounds, because you are able to learn in that way. You're able to program yourself in that way. You remember when I discussed about the audio, and if you can't, like, read a physical book, or you don't have time to in your day to allow enough time for that, to listen to an audiobook, because what happens is, while you're falling asleep, while you are in your REM state, which is the deepest form of sleep, scientific, that's what's been said, consciously your ears are still receiving this message, so you are programming yourself. Like, you can legit program your own self, rather than, listen, people are being programmed every day. You might as well do it yourself, because if you don't do it yourself, somebody else is going to do it for you. Somebody else is going to do it for you, definitely, because people are here to sell. It's natural. Everybody has something that they want to give you. I mean, shoot, I'm sitting here and I am pouring into you because I want something from you. I want you to walk away with a different perspective, or at least being partial to the perspective that I am suggesting to you, right? So sound, hearing yourself will further implement what is consciously being bestowed upon you when you are reading, right? So we got studying the thing, we got looking like the thing, and we got sounding the thing. These are the three things that I personally believe that will catapult your life if only done consistently. If you do these three things consistently, guys, there's no way that you could lose. I'm gonna kid you not, because whenever I am not, I put it like this, whenever I am not doing these three things that I have just suggested to you guys, I can see the difference. I can see the difference. I can feel the difference. I can hear the difference, because consciously we always want to regress into our natural habitat, right? If you are not a person that generally likes to read, like that wasn't like, there's some people that I follow on YouTube. They have like book channels, like they, talk about these books, and it's like I'm in awe, because I'm like, wow, you read all those books. And that was like a real thing for me, because for a very long time I I I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be able to just like sit down and read a book, but you know, without how can I say, without putting categorizing myself, the sitting still, that could be a challenge. Okay, that could be a challenge, and I had to work my way around that. Are we supposed to give in to life challenges and just because it's presenting itself as a challenge? This is why there are levels. This is why things are rewarded to the highest bidder. This is why there are stairs, highway to, okay, that's another thing. But anyway, I digress. Just understand that this is not going to be easy. These things that I'm suggesting are not easy, and they take practice. It takes practice, but make it fun while you're practicing. Make it fun while you're practicing. This is not about getting it like hitting in a strike from day one. We all want that, but then where's the beauty? Where's the cultivation? How are we cultivating ourselves if we instantly are able to receive what we are working so hard to achieve? You might truly believe that, you know what, if I had this right now, if I got this right now, I would be so grateful. I would be good. Right? That's one way of looking at things. But what we don't count on is our inability to sustain the thing, keep the thing, right? Because we skipped all the other steps. We skipped all the other steps that are necessary in order for us to maintain these perspectives. If somebody just give it to you, it's like taking a test. Yeah, somebody could just give you the answer, but as you go up on levels, you still have more tests. You still have to know certain things, and 9 times out of 10, some of the things that was on the other test, it's going to be on a new test, but just put in a different way. And if you don't have the discernment to see what is put before you in the same way, but just presented in a different way, you're going to miss. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. It's just like anything else. This is why after a certain age, when you go through certain things, you notice there's certain patterns. There's certain patterns that human beings go through when they experience certain things. So after a while, because you are now used to, unfortunately and fortunately, going through certain ebbs and flows in life, you'll be able to go through them much more smoothly. It's not to say it's not going to be hard. It's not to say that it's not going to be painful, but you'll have your staple things that you do every single day. There, you'll have certain staple things that are non-negotiables. Like, let's just say you made these things your non-negotiables, right, through life. Studying, reading, um, taking making it a point to pay attention to your capability of mirroring, right? Mirroring, looking like the very thing that you now see your life being, right? And through the process of these things, you sound, you definitely just go through, it's like you're a phoenix, right? Burn off the coal, then start again. You have ascended, you have risen, right? And the only way that you're going to be able to do those things is if you maintain a specific way of being, living your life. Again, we are spiritual beings that are experiencing a physical, we're experiencing in the physical body, in the spirit, in the physical flesh, right? It doesn't say, I mean, honestly, if you think about it like this, you do not look the same like you did when you first was born. You went through physical changes. The longer you stayed, the more you've grown. You have experienced. Your skin, your everything about you have changed because of the amount of time that you've been here on this earth. So when you simplify, remember I said I like to make things really simple because like to the point where it's like, I know this, okay, Elizabeth, I get it. But no, the simplifying things allow you to really push and understand and retain the materials that I am in terms of concept. I'm not physically giving you anything yet. Stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe and put on your notifications so you be privy of all the things that I have upcoming for you guys. But guys, I just want to say this. I'll end this live. Ooh, we've been here together for quite some time, and I'm loving it. Again, I will say this. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of success. Don't be the dog that's chasing its tail. Like, we want this, we want that, but then we sabotage. We want this, we want that, but then we self-sabotage. And I'll definitely go more into some other things in terms of self-sabotage, down the road. But just to stick on topic and to close this up, I just want to let you know that, it's very important to cultivate your own life and to cultivate your own perspectives, not even me to tell you guys what to do. Always take what you need and leave the rest. That's what I always say. Take what you need and leave the rest. Because when you allow yourself to do that, you get in a habit of creating your own arsenal, your own toolkit. So when life starts to get a little crazy, as it does, you'll have some sure fire ways that will always able you to get through and maintain a specific way of life no matter what is happening your way, even if it's the smallest thing. But because you hit that bell, just touch it. I would say just touch it. Touch that goal. Doing these three things, even down to the very minimum, you will train your subconscious mind to believe the things that you say. You will believe in the things that you say. You will believe in you. Your word is your bond, because you have proven that to yourself by showing up and making it a point to put these things in action. You will teach yourself and show yourself that, you know what, when I say something, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And in terms, what will happen is you will expect that type of behavior in others, right? Because it's hard to allow something in our lives that we do not practice within ourselves, right? So if you show up for yourself, if you treat yourself and respect yourself in a certain type of way, and you are serious about your business and the way you go about it, and in your essence, and just what you are offering to the world, because this is an offering, right? This is an offering that this training prepares you for, right? Anytime you are able to create a great work, create in any way, you are mirroring God. That is the God essence in you. This is why, in my humble opinion, we are all gods and goddesses. We are. Who are you to tell me that I'm not a goddess? Who am I to tell you that you're not? Right? It's always the pendulum is always going both ways. If it goes this way, it's gonna go that way. So, guys, be sure to like and share this live, because you know what, sharing is caring. I thank you to everyone that stayed to the end. You are a rock star. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate and I'm proud of your willingness to see life from a different perspective. Be sure to subscribe to my vlog channel at Elizabeth Magical Garden. Things are a little laid back over there. Not saying that we're not laid back over here, but things are a little different over there as well. I put up all my vlogs, anything that I'm creating, anything that I'm doing usually goes up on that channel. So be sure to subscribe to that as well. Guys, I will see you guys next week. Okay, we are working on specific days, but right now, as it stands, Mondays and Fridays, as it stands, seems to be a sure thing. But that's why I always say to have your notifications on, because at times that may change. But definitely on this platform, I definitely am looking to be going live more often than